What's good, everybody? We have SEVAGOTH Prime dropping this week, so let's do a zero Forma build for him. For anyone who loves min-maxing or, on a budget and you don't want to drop all of this, Forma on all of his parts because, he has his shadow and he has his claws. I don't really use SEVAGOTH too much, sometimes. I prefer other frames. I do like his reap and sow nuking ability. So that's what I'm going to focus on today. Right? We will start with SEVAGOTH and his abilities. Let me go to a blank build so you can see his abilities. All right, his passive on death, you become his shadow, and to resurrect him, you collect, I believe it's 5 souls needed to rebuild him. So if you kill 5 enemies within the time frame, he will be revived. Which is a nice passive, if you don't have last gasp. Reapus is first. His shadow flies out and basically hits everything in a radius for you. Also debuffing enemies, and that scales with strength. So plants a seed in your enemies to drain their life, and then you can use reap in combination to deal a percentage of health. So we're going to be talking about these two abilities with their augments coming up. Gloom. If you aren't familiar with Gloom, it's one of the best subsume abilities. Funny enough, it's okay on SEVAGOTH, but it's great on other frames. Gloom gives you slow in an AoE, which scales with range, and the slow scales with strength as well, and it caps at 95%. And you also get lifesteal whenever you kill or hit or kill enemies. So it's an amazing ability to use on a lot of frames. If you're getting an AoE, like, it's crazy how big the area is of the slow, because it's in a circle instead of a cone or linear, and it's just great overall to use. We will be using Gloom on this build for our main survivability, as I chose not to use adaptation, with Arcane Blessing and tanking from health. And his 4th ability is Exalted Shadow, where you go into a shadow form and, spam your melee. So let's go on his shadow. For this build, I subsumed off his 4, so I won't be using his shadow for anything. This is a very nice budget build, triple Umbra. Well, I wouldn't say budget, but I mean zero Forma, because you have to max all of these rank 10 mods. I do have an unranked adaptation on here. It's comfortable, just enough strength for his abilities. So Embrace, Consume, Death's Harvest, and this is for you go back to SEVAGOTH. And then I have Fury and Strike, because he's basically only melee when in his shadow form. His claws, I modded weird because I didn't want to use any Forma. You get over 100 crit, you know, since we don't have Blood Rush and Whipping Wounds. Prime Pressure Point instead of Sack Pressure. More crit, reach, some speed. If you feel it's comfortable with Arcane Strike, you could drop this for more range if you want. I put Corrosive. If you're going to run, and Drifting Contact, if you're going to run 2 green shards on him to full stripped armor, you could run, you know, Corrosive Claws. If not, Viral or whatever you want. But this was the drain I had to work with, so I just went with Corrosive for now. Alright, so his build looks something like this. I have Roar on his 4. Sucks that they did not want to give us a polarity for Aura. If you needed more drain, you could run Steel Charge. Right? You'll get a little 2 more. And then I have Mobilize on here. You don't even have to unlock this, you know, if you don't want to. At some point, I will Forma this frame, you know, just because I'm a completionist. I have Prime Sure-Footed. If you don't have Prime Sure-Footed, you could drop it. Put anything you want. I suggest, if you want to be extra tanky, because, you know, enemies will be slowed with Gloom, run Adaptation. You could take off Arcane Energize and run Arcane Blessing, you know, and then it feels much more comfortable. You just have to be hyper aware of your AoE weapons. Dark Propagation, right? So enemies killed while inflicted with spread its effect in a 15-meter radius, right? And you're you're not going to be using your shadow on this build, so the other part is irrelevant. And then Shadow Haze is his Reap augment, increases critical chance by 50% on enemies inflicted with Death Harvest. And then a new shadow emerges from those enemies when they perish. That's why I'm not running any more duration, right? Because you want your shadows to keep dying and coming back, so the more duration limits that. Kind of sucks because you want more duration on your Roar, but I feel 30 seconds is fine on base. But I mean, you could play around with it and whatever you're comfortable with, you know. So I've seen a lot of people run Transient Fortitude here, and you know, drop it down to, I think it's like 73 or whatever it is. Precision Intensify will boost your 4, which is Roar, which is great. On top of Mo augmenting and Augur Secrets, I feel that's a good enough, and Growing Power too, when we know this proc. So make sure you are stacking Molt Augmented, of course, and before you cast Gloom, make sure Growing Power is active. That way you get the most slow. And then every, you know, minute or so, the more you kill, just recast Gloom. That way when it's up, when Molt Augment is up to max with Growing Power, it'll be very comfortable. And so yeah, the combination is you're gonna sow your enemies, and then you're gonna reap your enemies, and try not to die in the process. Arcane Energize is a flex slot. You know, you can pretty much put anything you want on here. More strength with vigor if you want. whatever you want. You know, Arcane Steadfast. If you're going to be casting a lot, you know, makes sense. Arcane Blessing. Um, whatever you want to put on there. So this is what it looks like when you have and on these are 225 Steel Path, Corrupted Heavy Gunners, right? I haven't procced growing power. Well, I just did. But you reap, you sow, and most of them die. And then you go about your business throughout your mission. You know, it's a really nice nuke once all of your strength is built up. And of course your focus school gives you more strength if you're using Xenoric or Matarai, so. So yeah, that's SEVAGOTH Zero Forma in a nutshell. I mean, you could let me know what you would take off of this. I mean, you could put some blue shards, take off Prime Flow, right? That frees up, and then you could put more strength, more range. You know, you do have Cunning Drift available. You could put Energy Nexus, Streamline. Feel free to play around with it. I know SEVAGOTH is a pain to mod for because you really want to fit a lot of things on here, and the only way to do that, especially if you love playing with his shadow, right, is you're going to have to spend the Forma. So I think you could get away with maybe 2 Forma on his Prime, his Shadow, Umbral Forma, and a regular Forma, and his Claws, 2 more Forma. I know a lot of people put an Umbral on here, and then you have Tenakai to worry about too if you want to do that. So yeah, one of the reasons I didn't like playing with SEVAGOTH was DE's decision to make him so Forma heavy, whereas all the other frames, you don't need to invest so heavily, you know, and it turned me off really bad. I like his design, I like his abilities, you know, but I was just turned off by their decision to milk us on Forma. And this nonsense right here with no polarity on the aura has to stop. It's just terrible. You know, I don't care. Give us any polarity. Just make sure it's polarized. You know, I hate this. This is dumb. I hate wasting a Forma on an aura slot. Yeah, everyone's going to say, oh, you know, you could go grind a Forma in like 5 seconds. Yeah, that's not the point. The point is I don't want to use one for an aura slot. So, yeah, go ahead and enjoy SEVAGOTH, Epitaph Prime, and Nautilus Prime. My Epitaph is leveled. I just haven't formed it or built it. Yeah, I don't even think I'm going to. And Nautilus is leveled as well. I don't like Nautilus that much. I mean, it's a okay sentinel for grouping and stuff, but you know, for glass though, this is a powerhouse of a weapon right here. Go ahead and use it. I mean, it's basically Glaxian Prime in my eyes. You know, it's the amazing thing with Verglass with Shivering Contagion, and you could just run it like that. It's that you will have an amazing time crowd controlling a room. You know, it's just fun to use. So yeah, go ahead, use that all the time. All right, if I do decide to make a build for those, his weapon and the Sentinel, I'll probably post it. But other than that, this is your zero Forma build. Go ahead and have fun. If you keep dying, then play around with adaptation, arcane blessing, some other survivability. You could even run brief respite, right? And then you're gonna have what is that mod called? The one where you could drop your shields. You could run that, and I don't even know what it is. Let me see. Oh, where is it? Where is it? Catalyzing shields. You could run that here. And you can always shield tank with brief respite with 2 auger mods, and especially if you have an auger or 2 on your secondary, easy. And then you could put more more strength. You could just go blind rage, right? And that way it'll max out your shield gate with 1 cast of your 2. So yep, that's the build. I'll probably post another video within the week with something else I'm playing with. Alright, thanks for watching.